What's good, good people? I hope you can hear me all right out there. We're going straight in today, all right? So, a couple of housekeeping things before we get into the video. Number one, the background that you're looking at right now is a piece of artwork by one of my favorite artists of all time by the name of Aaron Douglas. Okay. Aaron Douglas is what is considered to be one of the most important Harlem Renaissance artists. And for those of you who don't know what the Harlem Renaissance was, it essentially was a revolutionary period in the world of art where African American artists started to depict our own stories and sell that art as opposed to what had been done traditionally, which was to essentially create the artwork for the buyers, which in a lot of instances were like the white audience. Okay, so I believe that some of that is needed in many spaces throughout the world. The belief system or the belief that uh, catering something or telling your own stories as a Black person won't be of any value to people of other races is actually a tremendous problem. It's like imagine Mexicans without Mexican food, right? If Mexicans just said, yo, you know what? We don't want to sell tacos anymore. We don't want to set up our taco trucks. We're going to start making hamburgers, right? Then a huge gap in not only cultural relevance, but also financial power goes out the window for that community. So it's very important, in my opinion, for us to tell our stories as a people, to not water them down, and to maximize these things to the biggest, to the most of our ability. So that's that. Second thing, okay? Second thing is, yo, it is 2024, all right? If y'all are not using Chat GPT to enhance some element of your life, you are losing. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like you're not maximizing your potential. Okay. Listen, Chat GPT is good for any and everything. Those of y'all who've been following me for a while know that I work in tech. And I use ChatGPT every single day, but not just for tech related things. I use it for all kinds of stuff. I ask ChatGPT random questions. You can feed ChatGPT a report, a document, an executive summary, and you can ask it, like, is this a good executive summary? Like, is this good this? Is that good that? And hey, you could take the response that it gives you with a grain of salt, but 9 out of 10 times it's on point, like Stacey Adams. So I will highly encourage y'all to, uh, you know, sign up for ChatGPT. No, I'm not a promoter. I'm not trying to, or whatever. I'm not, I'm not trying. I don't get no money off y'all signing up for that. I'm just telling you the way that it's changed my life. I would like it to change the lives also of some of my viewers, right? And don't be cheap. Pay the little $20 a month and get GPT for the most latest and greatest model. You'll be glad you did it. So let's get into implicit bias. All right, I'm gonna share my screen here, and we're gonna get right into this. All right, I'm gonna share my screen here, and we're gonna get right into this. Okay, so let's talk about implicit bias. So implicit bias, known as implicit prejudice or implicit attitude, is a negative attitude of which one is not consciously aware against a specific social group, a specific social group, a specific social group. Do Black people face, is implicit bias against African Americans a thing? Is it a thing? And I think that majority of Americans with common sense would say, yeah, it's a thing, but it's not so bad. And oh, it's because your people do this, and they come up with all these excuses in terms of why people have implicit bias, right? We're facing this, and we face this every single day of our lives. And you know what? When I was a kid, I knew that there was something out there that, like some energy, some force out there that was basically anti-Black, right? Like, in other words, it seems the way that the white power structure have set up their world in order for them to stay in power, it seems that there has to damn near be an element of implicit bias against black peoples, because that's the only way that that some of them can justify the things that they've already done to our people, right? And, I always knew that this was a thing, but we didn't really have data to back it up, right? Like, oh man, I'm being treated different at school. These teachers are this way, that way, the third way. What the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? And going to church and Jesus is white, the angel's white, everybody is white. There ain't no black angels in heaven. The Bible is teaching me something different. What is going on? It is this thing called implicit bias. I mean, amongst other things, it's anti-blackness, right? Because in some ways, I think that non-black people look at black people themselves as a threat to their existence. For what reason? I don't know. I don't fully understand why people have this. But one thing I can say is that I don't think it's restricted to Caucasian people. I think that implicit bias can impact even black people. Truth be told. So it's a problem. But here's a question. What if I told you that this starts and that this can impact even the lives of your preschool child? What if I told you that? And this is what I'm here to study or to talk about today, right? Is this implicit bias. Before I get into that, I want you guys to understand something. We're living in a society in a day and age now where people are calling for the genocide of black people, particularly black males. Okay. And the people who are calling for it, guess what? Most of the time, they look like us. I'm going to play a clip from a YouTuber by the name of Yamana888. And I don't even like to give these people any clout or whatever on my channel, but I think it's important that we understand the climate that we're living in. And I'm going to just type this woman's name in here. Y'all bear with me before I get into this video, because it's important for us to understand the temperature, right? Oh, and look at this. Oh no, this is not who she is. Let me see here. Video. Oh man, I can't find her. Hold up. YEMAYA8888. Okay, here we go. Now I don't know what her channel is about, man, but I happened to stumble across this mess and last night, and I was taken aback by a particular segment of this stream. And I don't think you all can hear this. So I'm going to play this through my cell phone, and my Bluetooth device will pick it up. But I just want you to hear the tone, all right, of how women feel, some black women feel about black men. Let's listen to this.
All of that shit would go away if you men would be men. But you don't want to do that. So we got to go. And then you got the nerve to make fun of women that have to go to the government. You motherfuckers, you don't deserve women. I'm sorry. You don't deserve pussy. You don't deserve nothing. Leave us alone.
Excuse me. This is not the usual tone of my channel, but hey, just listen to this.
Disgusted. We're disappointed in you, and we don't like you anymore. And they shame single women, and they shame women that don't have kids. So think about it. You can't win either way. If you don't have kids, they shame you. If you have kids, if you're a single mother, they shame you. So think about it. What's the point if you give birth to them? You know why they want you to give birth to them? Because they want to have more male creatures. Mm-hmm. They don't want their kind to die out.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah? Right. Why do they want you to give birth to them? Because they want more male creatures. Oh, they don't want their kind to die out. And I find this crazy and hilarious for a number of reasons, but mainly because of the facts, right? But I'm gonna let her vent.
But I think it's time for them to die out. I'm sick of them. And the earth needs a break too. The water, the air, the animals, the trees being cut down. We need a break from these male creatures. Let them die out.
Interesting, right? So she said we need a break from these male creatures. Let them die out. Let them die out. So where does some of this anti-blackness lead? It leads to problems. Essentially calling for the genocide of black men, the end of men altogether, the promotion of alphabet lifestyles. This is where this goes. This is where this goes. What is wrong with these women? I'm telling you, they're out of touch with reality, bitter, scorned, and badly damaged. It's a problem. But let's watch this. Let's watch this implicit bias video. And you know what, you guys, you also probably can't hear that. So let me play this also through my phone. Here we go.
Take a look at these 4 kids. These preschool teachers watched a video of them playing for a 2016 study. The study asked them to press the enter key every time they saw a behavior that could become a potential challenge. But the thing about the study is it's kind of deceptive. There's actually no misbehavior in the video. The kids are actors, and the researchers were using eye tracking software because what they really wanted to know was when teachers expect misbehavior, who are they watching? The study found that both white and black teachers spent more time gazing at black boys than other children. Black boys make up less than a quarter of the nation's preschoolers, but more than 40% of preschool suspensions. The study's lead researcher told the Washington Post that implicit biases don't begin with black men and police. They begin with black preschoolers and their teachers, if not earlier.
So, implicit bias, right? Implicit biases do not begin with black men and police. They begin with black preschoolers and their teachers, if not earlier. If not earlier. I think it begins earlier than even this. I think that there is something in this world. There is some energy, some force, something out there that from the womb tries to persuade people to not see the value of black male life. And it's eerie reminiscent, if I'm going to be completely transparent, completely candid, it's eerie reminiscent of what the Bible talks about in the days of Moses. How the Pharaoh, the Egyptian Pharaoh, passed laws and decrees to essentially have the Hebrew boys put to death, right? Throw them in a river, kill them, right? Eerie similar. And I ask myself oftentimes, what was the energy or the force of the spirit behind that? And where did that go? Is it possible that this is literally an extension of the same thing? Is it possible? It's possible. But without all of the biblical analogies, we can still look at this situation just on a practical level and say, look, this is a problem. That no child does anything wrong, right? No child's doing anything wrong, excuse me, but somehow the teachers are just fixated, almost waiting, almost expecting the black child to do something wrong. Why is that? Is this like what racism is? Is racism really implicit bias manifest? In other words, people are already racist, and all they're really doing is looking for a reason to justify the hatred that they already have. And the hatred that they already have usually is based on an objective. Either they're trying to prove themselves right or prove their behavior right. It's very similar to, I don't want to get all into like the whole thing that's going on in Palestine and in Palestine right now, but it's eerie similar, because what I see in that situation is this country that we call Israel under this Prime Minister Netanyahu was actually looking for a reason to do exactly what they're doing now. It's just that October 7th became the catalyst, became the reason that he can use to do all of the evils that he's been wanting to do all this time. And of course, they'll try to get you, oh, no, 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 oh, no. That's not the reality. This is what we must do. No, that's a lie. You notice that, and the thing is this, implicit bias can be something that a person is not consciously aware of. Not consciously aware. In other words, you can't articulate like upon your own free will. Like a person's not going to admit to it, is the point. They're not going to admit to implicit bias. They're not going to admit to, like this woman did that we first played the first video. She's just admitting her hatred for men, in particular black men. Like she's just throwing it out there, no shame in her game. It is what it is, right? But most people with implicit bias, and implicit bias by definition is it alludes to, or it leans itself towards the idea that a person is not fully aware that that is something that they're dealing with. The subconscious mind. Interesting. This goes into psychology. Human behavior. Feelings trumping facts. It's so interesting. People talk about black men in such a derogatory way without any consideration of the facts. And as the facts become known, a lot of times the implicit bias doesn't change. People struggle with the truth. Now listen, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor. I'm a software engineer, if I'm being transparent, but I care about social issues. I'm black first. My history is real. I'm connected very closely to my roots. And this thing matters to me because it impacts your life. It impacts the lives of my community around me. I had a child, a young boy, just last year, because, you know, the young kids around here, they talk to me, young black boys. They talk to me. And I'll never forget last year, this young child, probably about 9 years old, I'm asking him how his day was at school. And the second thing came out of his mouth was that the teachers are racist. He literally said they're racist over there. I said, why do you say that? He says, because he's being picked on. They do this, they do that to the black children only. This happened last year. I ended up calling the school, filing a complaint about a particular teacher who this kid was telling me about. Because this child had come to me on multiple occasions to tell me about this one teacher. So I sent multiple emails to the school about it. I actually went down to the school. This is not my child. And the honest truth is, I never even had a one-on-one conversation with his mother, who is a single mom, because of the appearance of what it might look like in this community. But I would talk to her. I'm not saying I wouldn't talk to her. I'm just saying that we did not talk about the situation. But I did have a conversation with the principal of the school about the teacher. The teacher no longer works at the school. The point is this. Our children are going through things. They not all of them, but a lot of them are going through things. Recognize your privilege, right? Like a lot of people who are watching this video, this content, right? You know, you're probably not dirt poor, okay? You're probably not super struggling. You might be struggling, but you're probably not super struggling. And most of y'all are probably doing decently well for yourselves. But a lot of young black males come from families where they're not. Recognize your privilege and do something about it to help out the next generation. That's my advice to you, because it's going to take a lot more than black men changing our ways or whatever. Like people say, changing our ways. Successful black men always been successful black men, always been doing the right things, right? Or at least when they get the opportunity to do so, they do it. But it's going to take more than that to break this implicit bias that we're talking about. We have to go to war with those who basically do not correct their behavior or keep this bias in check. It takes force. So we have to not only do the things that we're supposed to do as a people to change the quote unquote narrative about black men, but we also have to go on the offense and fight against people who want to push negative stereotypes. The thing that I find most interesting, I'm going to say a few more words and I'm going to get out of here. The thing that I find most interesting is that I don't even think that if you put a migrant child in the midst of all these children, that they would watch that migrant child the way that they watch this black boy. I don't think they'd watch a child of if Osama bin Laden had a son. I don't think you could put him right there with a little baby turban. I don't think they would watch him the way they watch the black child. I don't think so. But back to the migrant situation, you know, I saw a situation in terms of what's going on in Chicago, and I hear this migrant man come in there and say, "You lazy, you lazy," right? These stereotypes, and he's talking to a black woman, right? These stereotypes. When the truth is that a lot of your people and people within the culture that you come from have anti-black sentiments, anti-black sentiments, anti-black male sentiments. Black men ain't lazy. You just say this to try to justify the racism that you already feel towards black folks. So you push the narrative, regardless what the truth is, while simultaneously wearing a shirt championed by a black man. Does it make sense? The absolute last thing I'm gonna say is this. To the woman, to the black woman who said what she said, if she ever comes across this video, right, and black women who think like that, you know, I pray y'all get healed. But the thing is this: brotherhood amongst men is necessary for security within a community. And only when a community is safe is a woman able to be the most feminine version of herself. So I want to end this video with some encouragement to black men, that we would promote brotherhood, right? That we would do things that would help us to like grow as a community, as men, to grow together as brothers, right? To share practical knowledge, practical wisdom, guidance, etc. That takes vulnerability, right? That takes intentionality. Putting yourself in spaces with other black men to talk about whatever it is that y'all want to talk about, to grow, because the word says what? Iron sharpens iron. This brotherhood is critical if we're going to create an environment where our children and our wives would feel safe. It's not our job to get our wealth as an individual and take these resources to another community while simultaneously doing nothing to build up the brotherhood in our own communities. Can we talk about it? Settling on a hill behind a white picket fence with a woman from another community, that's not the way. I'm not saying I'm against these things. I'm just saying we have to be focused. I think you should, even in that situation, be focused on what's going on with your people, because it's going to impact you. It's going to impact your children. It's going to impact the generations ahead. Implicit bias. I already made a video talking about discrimination in the workplace. Black people with black sounding names, with higher education levels than white people, with people with white sounding names getting less callbacks for job interviews. I remember reading that a white male with a person with a white sounding name and a prison record had a higher callback percentage than a person with a black sounding name who was educated. It's a real world we live in. This is the reality of this world we're living in. And I refuse to be blind to it. Hey, fam, love to hear your comments on this topic of discussion. I hope y'all have a fantastic Friday. Till we chat again, I am out.